Welcome back to the channel. Hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about Annie's character, which is highly controversial. Now, for fair disclosure, a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be saying here, I've already said in the Falco video, and also I have my mug, so that's cool. But I'm going to repeat a lot of points, but it's going to be a different video. I'm not going to entirely recycle content. Okay, so the first thing that I want to really clear up out of the way is a lot of people say that she doesn't deserve happiness, or she doesn't deserve to see her father after all the stuff that she's done. And that, they would have loved to see her parents get killed in front of her, and, so on and so forth. Mostly the Jaegerist saying this, which is funny because Aaron told Annie to live a long, happy life. So I don't know how you're gonna call yourself a Jaegerist when you're going contrary to Aaron's goals or his desires. But what I'm going to say about that is not that she does deserve it or that she doesn't deserve it. That's the point. That's the point. None of them deserve it, right? Not even Connie, because if you're a Jaegerist, that he went and he killed his former comrades to stop the genocide, right? And he also assisted, and might say, well, he gets a little bit of an excuse because he's doing it for the greater good. Understandable. And I'd say the same thing about Aaron, but you can also disagree and say, well, he's saving less people. Again, understandable. But another thing that is unequivocally wrong that he did was defend Aaron in the burial, and he killed people in the burial. And he assisted him in that, which had no moral back into it whatsoever from any reasonable point of view. You couldn't say he was trying to do this for the greater good, because he wasn't. He was just trying to defend his friend, which is perfectly fine. And again, that's why right before they meet Aaron, I say this over and over again, the chapter is called Sinners, because they're all sinners, right? So also remember that he was part of the uprising, the uprising arc, which is the point where Armin says that they are no longer the good guys because they are now torturing human beings, and they were using interesting tactics. And Commander Aaron said that the royal family might have been the best thing for humanity, and Connie was part of that, right? So he doesn't deserve it either. That's the entire point of this, is that they don't deserve it. They're going to get it anyway, right? Because the battle's over, right? They're not. Yeah. So it's not a matter of whether they deserve to live long. And as someone else mentioned, you guys wanted Aaron to commit genocide and then live with his wife and kids after, right? So, and yeah, you could say, well, it was because he did the right thing, which I'm not going to argue with you about now, but it still stands to reason that again, the same reason why Aaron did the rumble is the same reason why Annie did what she did, right? She just wanted to come back to her father. What did Aaron want to do? He wanted his friends to live long, happy lives. It was all family orientated, so they sacrificed other people so that their family could be taken care of. So yeah, you can't really make an argument, for or against this. It's the entire point of the story, right? So they're all bad guys, still have their hands dirty with blood. That's the entire point. And then forgiveness is a big aspect of this whole thing, shouldering this into the past and getting the forest. And again, listen, if you think it's corny, that's your own opinion. That's your own, silly ideology. Because what would punishing of her accomplished? And seriously, and also the other thing is, who would be punishing her? That's the other thing. Some people say that they want her father to be eaten as sort of a narrative penalty, because that would be the narrative punishing her, not anyone else. But had her father not been eaten and had the Alliance treated her the way that you want her to be treated, who would do it? Maggoth? Who? Flock? Who? Armin? Mikasa? They all have no moral high ground over anybody. That's the entire point. And you could say, well, she killed this amount of people, and then Connie killed this amount, so, Connie has more moral high ground than Nanny. But the thing is that they don't feel that way. None of them feel like they have moral high ground over any of them. Not Peak, not Falco, not Reiner, not Eren, not even Mikasa. Nobody. They don't think that they have moral high ground over anybody. So they would feel like they would have no right to punish Annie. If they did, they would think that they would have to get punished themselves, especially Reiner. Which again, you probably are angry at Reiner too. Another thing, what exactly would punishing her accomplish? Right? So let's say that you have whatever thing you want to happen or happen to her, whether it be a narrative penalty like her dad dying, or whether the Jaegers or the Alliance lynch her, or do whatever thing you want to happen, or whatever thing may make her jealous, so satisfied. What exactly would that accomplish? Well, nothing. It accomplishes nothing. Psycho violence doesn't get stopped. Parody's not more or less peaceful. You could say, well, it's for justice's sake, but I'm saying that her getting away with it actually enhances the story and the overall world, because it shows how you can end the cycle of violence. Because whether or not you care about what happens to her, the cycle of violence is a cycle, which is it's going to go back to you. So it's in Parody's best interest that the cycle of violence be stopped, domestically or internationally. On the other hand, we're also robbed of a very good character growth, because had she died or been imprisoned or whatever happened, or whatever happened, or she would have then not have the character growth that she needed to accomplish to achieve a good story. So, and another thing, it'd also be glorifying shallow pursuits of retribution, which again, he said with Yelena explicitly that revenge was a shallow thing. It's always been a shallow thing, and that's why Eren's motivation is not revenge, because revenge is incredibly shallow. And honestly, guys, it's very, very overused. Let's just get real for a second. It's very, very overused. If you want to watch something about revenge, retribution, and punishment, go watch John Wick, and you can all clap when he gets shot. But John Wick was a very, 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 very shallow movie, and it was just there purely to entertain people for an hour. Again, I watched all three of them. I thought they were, decent, but at the end of the third one, I was like, I was just waiting for it to end. It was just shooting with nothing behind it whatsoever. Again, if you want retribution, go watch that. But if you're coming here for a good story with good character set and us, then watch Attack on Titan. And if you're pissed off about it, well, then you can do whatever you want with that. And if you think that maybe the narrative shouldn't have penalized her, nor the Alliance, maybe she should have just felt guilty about it. As I'm going to explain, that would retcon her character, and on top of that, it would just make her more similar to Reiner. We already have a Reiner character. Wouldn't you want a different, more original character? Now, so I hope that clears up that little debacle. And if it doesn't, you're more than welcome to leave the comments right there. Go write whatever you want to write. I'll respond back to you. If you want to come out on the show and talk to me about it, you're more than welcome to do that too. But now let's talk about her character arc, which is very small, because she's only around from volume 1 to volume 9, I believe, and then from volume 30 to volume 34. So very short amount of time, and she's not a main character, so she's really not shown that much throughout those seasons either. So we get a very little bit to actually dig into her personality, and as most things, her character. Actually, I think most of the major characters are mystery characters, right? So she's a mystery, a massive mystery. But of course, see, we should have caught on to you guys earlier, because you guys weren't concerned with why she was crying in the woods when Levi first defeated her, right? Which, again, I don't blame you. She's a bad person. Why would you feel bad? But just a curiosity, as in, why is this in the show? Why did Isayama take time to do this in both the anime and the manga? Why did he do this? Right? It's a mystery, What is up? What is happening? What is she up to? And you don't have to feel bad for her, right? Because she didn't feel bad for herself. But just, it's mystery. Now, after she gets captured, we have more, we have more mystery. See, okay, she has a father, what is he apologizing for, blah, blah, blah. And again, maybe you didn't care what he was apologizing for. I mean, I personally cared because it was a giant mystery. It was all for motivations. And also, I was wondering, where exactly this take place. I mean, we were told what town it was, but, still very mysterious. But she wakes up, and this infuriates everybody. When she tells Hitch that if she would do it all over again, she would make the exact same decisions. And everyone wants to lynch her after that. Because why? I have no idea why. Because, see, people make a mistake of what's called fan service. Okay? Now, when I say Attack on Titan has no fan service, I mean it has no fan service whatsoever. When I say fan service, people usually think of, other things. If you know what I'm talking about, other bigger things that are worse. But when I say fan service, I'm talking about cheap drama and cheap scenes, right? I'm talking about other things like that. And had she reacted the way you wanted her to react, that would have been fan service. Why would it have been fan service? Why am I saying it would be fan service? Because here's the thing, that would be a retcon of her character, because she said in season one, and unfortunately I did not say this on recording, but I said this so many times before that chapter came out and after it came out and I didn't read it. I said so many times that she would do it all over again, because you know what, she knew exactly what she was doing. And she said that her father got caught up in ideals that have nothing to do in the real world. That's what she said. And then after that, she said that she goes along with the flow and towards before she gets captured, and that people like that are evil, and people go against the flow. Like I said last time, the person who's crossing their arms in the Hitler salute, those people are special, and they are special. Most people will go with the flow. Most people are saluting Hitler. And again, if you think that you would have absolutely been crossing arms along with that guy, you might be right, but I would seriously ask you, really think about that. Would you really not be saluting Hitler? Truly, would you? Again, if you were a white German, I mean. Because you have to guess, there's a lot of people there, and lots of them are probably really good people. If you were to meet them, they're probably really good people. Why are they all saluting Hitler? Think, right? But we call those people evil, and, rightfully so, and that's what she says. But the one person who's, going against the flow, like she said, is crossing his arms. He's a Marlowe, right? He's crossing his arms, not saluting Hitler, because he knows what's right, he knows what's just. Okay? But, or maybe, I'm not gonna talk about that. Same way. So she knows this, and she knows that she's just gonna go along with the manipulation. She knows what she's doing is evil, but she's still gonna do it anyway. So I would ask you, why would she not regret doing it? Right? You're saying, well, Reiner regrets doing it. He has mental illness and he's sorry and blah 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 blah. Number one, Reiner is a messed up individual. And I don't say that you shouldn't be regretful of your sins. I'm saying his relationship with his sins is messed up. And again, as I've said over and over and over again, if we're going to make a good story, it's going to reflect the Bible. And lo and behold, what do we see here? We see repentance without Christ. Interesting what happens. But anyway, we're not talking about that, because I know some of you aren't religious, but listen, his relationship with his sins is completely unhealthy. I mean, as you can see, he wants people to punish him. This is why he pushes John to the edge. This is why the hanging man gets brought. He wanted John to punch him, and he wanted John to say that he didn't forgive him. But notice how Annie actually wanted him to forgive him. But we'll talk about that later. So his relationship with his sins is completely unhealthy. Yeah, you may like it. You may like the ton of flesh you're getting out of Reiner. It may make you feel satisfied and all. But that is a way you can do it, but it's totally unhealthy, and it should not be mirrored. And the other thing is that Reiner did not know what was happening. Okay, he did not know the aliens were good people, and then on top of that, he was so traumatized by what he had to do that he created another personality for himself to even deal with the fall in the first place, right? So well, he actually created two personalities. As Riddick mentioned, the warrior and the soldier. He's a soldier at one point to deal with trauma, and then he's a warrior at one point, and then he's just Reiner, right? He's just Reiner, he has no business being in the military, and that's not an insult because most people don't belong in the military. It's a special thing. He's just a boy who just wants a good relationship with his parents. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, sort of like Zeke, but Zeke is a little bit different because Zeke is like legitimately intelligent and legitimately could have a military career, but he just was a boy who wanted to be with who wanted to have a good relationship with his parents. That's it. And yeah, he wants. I mean, and he just sort of, again, like Riddick said, like a story, it sort of started fitting into roles. So he fooled himself in thinking what he was doing was right. And he never had any solutions. She knew what she was doing. She knew what the elder. She's smart. She said when she was a kid. And again, if you're thinking that Isayama wrote that, what I'm about to say, later on, he did not. He had that planned out since like 2010 or 11. Because he says, my father got carried away with ideals that had nothing to do with the real world. And again, that's a mysterious line in prior seasons that foreshadows the end. Just like when Reiner says, we were just kids, what did we know? Because he was fooled. Notice, Reiner was fooled because he says, we were kids, what did we know? And he says, my father got caught up in ideals that had nothing to do with the real world. She's not fooled. She knows what's happening. And then she says later on in season 4, Marley and Eldians are both bad people, or something along that lines. So why would she possibly regret what she did when she did it knowing full well who she was doing it to, and what was going to happen, and she knew full well how evil she was? Why would you think that she would regret it after that? Again, that's why I say I told you I was going to get back to that. That's why I said it's fan service, because it'd be satisfying and cute for the fans. Like, yeah, she regrets it, she's repented, she's going on a little redemption arc. But you're wrong, because that goes completely against her character. It goes against her character in earlier season 4. It goes against her character in season 1 and everything else. It makes no sense. Now you're saying, Dorian, you think Barathel would do that? Because Barathel was kind of the same way, right? And I'm actually, shout out to C Tactics, by the way. I'm actually really excited to watch that video about Barathel. Well, first off, Barathel does not talk that much, so I don't really know much about him. I would assume it's more like an Anne response and not like a Reiner response. Same thing with Peak, because again, Peak doesn't really talk that much. We don't really know much about her, and she seems to be a wise, intelligent person. So I definitely think that she'd have more of a reaction than a Reiner reaction, seeing how, again, she's more intelligent, she's more wise, and she also, again, I don't really know, because again, like her and Barathel, they don't really talk, right? They don't really speak their opinions. But Annie, the little she does speak, we do get a lot out of her. Okay, now for her character arc, right? How does her character arc work, and, what does it do? So, she starts off as a, admittedly selfish person, but there's a lot of selfish people in this show. That doesn't really make her special. We have Erwin. We have, who's the other person? I forgot that. Ymir, right? Ymir. We have, and of course, maybe Aaron? Maybe Aaron? You can say Aaron? I mean, Aaron's a little bit more hard to discern, but again, depending on what theories that you have, because there's a lot of, different theories about why it starts rumbling, which the Aaron video is coming, but again, him being the main character, he has the most juice put in him, he has the most dialogue put in him. I'm going to have to do a lot of, research, and I'm going to have to get a lot of stuff ready for that video, but that one is coming, for those of you who are wondering. Yeah, so maybe Aaron, you could say, is selfish, but what makes her special is that, again, she is drunk on coming back home to her father. And again, why wouldn't she? That's the person she grew up with. Yeah, did they do some bad stuff to her? Of course they did. But so did Reiner's mother. I don't know why everyone's so mad about this. I actually saw like a meme yesterday, like, Astoria fell in love with the guy who threw rocks at her. Annie fell in love with her abusive father, and Mikasa fell in love with, then they were talking about, Ymir fell in love with the guy because of her tongue. Look how smart I am. You're not smart at all. You just don't get it. You're the actual incel. All these people who are talking about, virgin Aaron and incel Aaron and all sort of stuff. You're the virgin. You are the incel. And if you aren't a virgin, it was not loving. Okay? You guys don't know anything about love. Again, and you may say, well, Luca, how do you know anything about love? Okay, I don't, as much as more elderly people would. But here's the thing, I come from a family of 8, 9, or 8. So 8 or 9. It's 8 or 9. So I know a thing or two about how love works, and especially different relationships. Okay? Trust me, I know. But you guys are single childs with a single mom who live in her basement and play video games and watch anime all day. Because obviously, you guys obviously understand how love works. Okay? Yes, her father was abusive, 100%. Yes, her father used her. But her father, still has good qualities about him. As we all know, every person has good qualities about him. So are you saying the entire time he wasn't ever nice to her? That's baloney. And the other thing that is, it's not confirmed, but it's indicative of the relationship is that once she was about to leave, then he started apologizing. Which in my opinion is supposed to convey that he didn't realize what he had until he was about to lose it. Which, funny enough, isn't that what they were talking about in the... So obviously this is something that is purposely done by Isayama. And she also realized what she had until she left. Because she realized that, yeah, while her relationship with her father was pretty crappy, she still had something there, right? She still had family there, and of course, since Mr. Langhardt's character develops after she leaves, they can now have a better relationship. And since Annie's character has developed and is she does not need to kill anybody to be part of her family anymore, they can live together for a long time because of Eren. But one thing, why did Isayama kill off Mr. Langhart? People were, again, I see a lot of people complaining about the fake out with Jean and Connie. He faked us out. It was we thought they were gonna die, but then he cheaply brought them back. A couple things about that. Number one, actually, this video is about Annie. It's not about 139. But I never hear anyone complain about the fake out of Mr. Langhart. Mostly because they're disingenuous people who don't care whether or not Mr. Langhart is dead, and so they thought that they were faked out. But the reason why it's done like that, which again, Isayama does not waste a single line. He certainly would not waste a line like that. The reason why it's faked out is because Annie was drunk on that. So what he wants to do is he wants to have her live a long, happy life with her father and develop as a character and work the Alliance. But how can he do that without retconning her character? I mean, and he has only a few volumes left. He only has a few chapters left, and her character has been MIA for the longest time. So how is he going to do these two things without making any plot holes? What he does is he simply makes it think that Mr. Langhart is dead, because then what she's drunk on is no longer there. She's now not drunk on going back to her father, because there's no father to go back to, which then leaves room for her to grow, right? And again, they're not on the ground. We never saw Mr. Langhardt's dead body, so it's not like, and again, it's not like, what am I gonna say? It's not like we saw his dead body, or we saw him being killed. They were just gathering intel. And again, it's very hard to get accurate numbers while the war is still ongoing. You get the numbers after the war's over. So this happens all the time. So it stands to reason that they would mess up on something, and Mr. Langhart then is in fact not dead. And this makes it so that Annie's able to grow as a character. So now she's not drunk, and then now she re-asks a question to make it so this time genuinely. Would you actually let me kill Eren? Because see, while she is still a selfish person, this is called a layered character. While she is still a selfish person, she still does feel guilty about what she has done. And as I've said a bunch of times, she was punished in a way for what she did. Yeah, maybe not to your liking, but everyone was, right? Eren was, right? He actually even went far to actually have a self-punishment, sort of, because when Armin asked him for a third way, he said, I don't deserve a third way, right? So we see this with Reiner. We see much less with Mikasa and the others, but more with Reiner and definitely with Annie and Eren. And one could argue Historia. But they all feel guilty about what they did, all of them. All of them. They're all gonna have scars and PTSD forever. Which is actually stated afterward. Right? So she still wants to do something good because she's done all this evil. So now her fault is out of the way, she can now then do good with a genuine heart. And that is why her character is written the way it's written. It's beautiful, it's perfect, and it's great because we have two villains, Reiner and Annie. And actually, we have three main villains: Reiner, Annie, and Zeke. And yes, I know I'm forgetting about Bartholomew or Burrito, whatever he's called. But he doesn't speak that much, so unfortunately I cannot add him to this list. But we have three characters with vastly different motivations doing the same exact thing. It's actually really cool, and the character flows and fits perfectly. So that is why her character is written the way she's written. That is what she means in the story, and that is what she's supposed to mean to you. That's supposed to be the commentary on human nature, right? So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. If you think I'm wrong for some reason, I don't know. Again, there's very few videos where I think I can't be wrong, but this one's one of them where, like, how could you disagree with me? Naturally, no. There's a lot of reasons. There's lots of ways you can disagree with me. I take that back. That way I'm retconning. But yeah, if you disagree with me, go ahead, put in the comments. If you want to call into the show, go ahead. That's perfectly fine. But besides that, have a great day.